So here is the big question. Where will XRP actually be in December 2026? We are constantly bombarded with opinions, right? But what happens when we strip away all the human emotion and just let data-driven AI systems map out the possibilities? Well, as we'll see, the answers are wildly disparate. And if you hold XRP, understanding the logic behind these incredibly different forecasts is absolutely crucial.
Now, before we jump into the actual predictions, let's talk about why this even matters. AI is rapidly becoming one of the most powerful tools in financial forecasting. These systems analyze massive, unimaginably large data sets. We're talking market trends, historical price action, complex investor behavior, and intricate macro signals. Sometimes they see patterns that we humans completely miss. So, when multiple AI models point in totally different directions, it tells us something important. It means market uncertainty is still incredibly high, but opportunity might be even bigger.
To really understand these AI predictions, we have to ground ourselves in XRP's current reality. Right now, XRP is at a really critical stage. On one hand, we're seeing growing global interest, we've got continued discussions around regulation, and there's definitely increasing use cases for cross-border payments. But at the exact same time, the market is still incredibly volatile. You've got some investors who are extremely bullish, while others are remaining super cautious. So the big question remains, where does XRP go next?
All right, let's start with the most optimistic prediction. Bam! The first AI model suggests XRP could reach between $8 and $12 by December 2026. Just take a second and let that sink in. For a lot of folks, this is the absolute dream scenario. But this AI didn't just pull these numbers out of thin air.
It's basing this bullish target on a few specific data triggers. First, historical breakout cycles, recognizing past patterns where long quiet periods suddenly exploded. Second, increasing adoption trends, meaning it's factoring in the actual real-world utility of XRP. And third, long-term consolidation patterns. According to this specific analysis, XRP might currently be in a quiet accumulation phase, basically coiling up like a spring right before a major explosive move upward.
So, quick question for you, and I really want you to think about this based on what we just discussed. Do you think XRP can realistically hit $10? Just do a mental check. Does that feel achievable to you, or does it feel like pure hype? Hold on to that thought, because the next model is a completely different story. Let's move over to the second AI model. This one takes a much more balanced approach. It predicts XRP could land somewhere between $3 and $5 by 2026. This is still a very healthy increase, right? But it's completely stripped of that euphoric optimism we saw in the first model. So why the more muted forecast? Well, because it factors in some very realistic market hurdles. It heavily weighs competition from other cryptocurrencies fighting for that same market share. It also models out slower adoption timelines, recognizing that institutional change takes time. And it factors in possible delays in broader market growth. Basically, this model sees steady, methodical progress, but definitely not an explosive overnight rally.
And now, here's where things get really interesting, and maybe a little sobering. The third and final AI model is highly conservative. It predicts XRP could just remain boxed in the $1 to $2 range. Talk about narrative whiplash, right?
This cautious outlook gets highly technical. It's looking closely at hard market resistance levels, points where sellers historically step in. It also anticipates reduced hype cycles and a lack of major short-term catalysts. In simple terms, this AI expects a slow grind. It expects XRP to move sideways or slightly up, without any sort of major breakout. So let's pull back and look at all three of these scenarios together to really grasp this. We have Model 1 acting incredibly bullish at up to $12. Model 2 is sitting in the moderate middle ground around $3 to $5, and Model 3 is super bearish, stuck at $1 to $2. That is a massive difference. We have advanced AI systems looking at the exact same data and coming to totally divergent conclusions. So, who is actually right? Here's the reality. The future of XRP isn't going to be decided by an algorithm in a vacuum. It depends entirely on four critical, real-world market factors. These are the actual variables that will steer the ship over the next couple of years.
Let's walk through them. First, institutional adoption. If more major institutions actually start using XRP, demand could skyrocket. Second, regulatory clarity. Clear rules of the road bring confidence into the market. Third, crypto market cycles. Crypto moves in massive waves, so the timing of the broader market plays a huge role. And finally, Bitcoin's direction. Look, like it or not, the entire crypto space still largely follows Bitcoin's lead.
So what's the most realistic outlook here? Well, if adoption grows and the broader market enters another really strong bull cycle, XRP could absolutely push toward that higher $8 to $12 range. But if growth slows down or regulatory uncertainty just keeps dragging on, prices are likely going to stay much more conservative.
And this is exactly where it gets serious. Because moments of extreme market divergence like this, they are exactly where early decisions matter the most. Some people wait around, and they miss the opportunities. But others pay attention early, and they position themselves way ahead of the crowd.
No matter what happens, navigating these wildly conflicting predictions requires a smart investor mindset. Analysts always stress three things. First, stay informed on key developments. Second, actively manage your personal risk. And third, absolutely avoid making emotional decisions based on daily volatility.
Because at the end of the day, there is a core philosophy you have to remember. Hype doesn't build wealth. Discipline does. It's so easy to get swept up in the excitement of a $10 price prediction, but it's disciplined risk management that will actually protect you. So whether XRP ultimately grinds at $2 or rockets past $10, one thing is totally clear. The next few years could be absolutely massive. So I want to turn it over to you. What is your prediction for XRP's next move? Let us know what you think. If you found this explainer helpful, make sure to follow XRP Insider for more updates. And remember, in crypto, timing isn't just a factor, it's everything. Oh, and before you go, keep an eye out for our next explainer, because XRP's next big move might already be starting. See you next time.